Welcome to the 208. It is Sunday night. Lots of football. You can tell because I have no voice from coaching and watching football. So we are going crazy. Let's get to it right now. Thanks. File on in, subscribe, hit that like button. Now let's get going. Thanks everybody for joining. Justin, how are you doing this evening?
Doing good, man. It's so fun to watch the Falcons try to be relevant. Like this whole week was just news for the Falcons. So I was just excited for football, excited to watch it. 3 Sundays away, almost there with college football. Excited to just watch some football. We play this week in high school. I mean this Friday, so super excited that football's back.
Yeah, football, it is full go. Did a big mock draft or a big draft last night. Had our football is coming up for coaching, right? We're doing all that stuff. I've got no voice because of it. Man, we are in full swing. I'm excited too. I'm ready to just get into it. I'm so excited. It's like Christmas. Chance has the night off today, so we should see him next week. We're going to do some mock draft tonight, Superflex. And we're going to have some fun with that. We got almost a full squad, so we're going to get going here in just a minute. But let's jump right into NFL news.
What's going on?
All right, Justin, what do you got for us? There's quite a bit out there. I think we're all excited about too.
Yeah, so it was, kind of unrelated to fantasy football unless you have defense in there. But the Falcons made 2 huge upgrades in Matthew Judon at edge and Justin Simmons, just 2 all-pro guys, 2 Pro Bowlers, just awesome to see, for them to add to the defense. And honestly, not trying to be a homer, but they should be drafted in all drafts just because their first week is the Steelers. And we've all seen how the Steelers have played this year. So I think defenses should be streaming if you have defenses in your league. But they are an awesome option for that first week to get you some really valuable points. So,
yeah, defenses are interesting just because you really never know. Right? Yep. They always have a top defense. You don't know who's what, where is this, that, and the other. And I'm telling you, you can get Atlanta for nothing right now. And they can be a top 10 defense in my eyes, just with the 2 big signings and with that offense. So they're going to keep the ball on the field a lot. There's no more 3 and outs with that offense. So go get them real cheap.
Their back end's going to be really good. The next thing is, man, these rookie quarterbacks, this might be the class because Caleb Williams just running around, closest thing I've seen to Patrick Mahomes. Bo Nix just wheeling and dealing, and just Mr. Consistency. I don't think he's ever going to be too high, too low. I think he's just going to be really consistent. Then Jayden Daniels just looks really, really good. He's going to be very hard on defensive coordinators.
Yeah, these rookie quarterbacks, it's crazy. Bo Nix looks phenomenal, I think, for Denver. They gave the Packers a run for their money just a couple of days ago. Caleb Williams, go Bears. I'm not trying to be a homer either, but he's made a couple of throws that I haven't seen since Mahomes. So I'm very hopeful. But yeah, lots of good rookie play for sure.
Yep. And then to go along with that Falcons news, the Steelers offense just looks abysmal. And I hate to toot my own horn. I feel like I've been saying for 2 months. I just don't draft anything in that offense. I don't think it's gonna be good. They don't know what they're doing. Their offensive line looks really, really bad. The Bills' defensive line, I think, is most their second units, but Gregory Rousseau, their defensive end for the Bills, just absolutely killed. He looked like the best. I don't know. He looked like Myles Garrett out there just killing them. So I just don't know what they're gonna do. So we'll see about that. Next thing, fantasy-wise, is the Raiders named Gardner Minshew as their starting quarterback, which I think is their best option. Matt, how do you think that impacts Devontae Adams, Zamir White, any of that?
I mean, he's not an elite guy, but he's serviceable. He's a good QB too. If you're in a 12 full-man league with just one QB, I mean, he can be your second guy. He'd be okay. He's got some decent weapons with Brock Bowers. Devontae Adams sometimes feels QB proof. And Zamir White's going to touch 1,000 touches this year, it seems like. We've talked about that in the past. So he's serviceable, but I'm not. The Raiders are going to have another top pick next year, I think. But from a fantasy value, serviceable bye week with the right streaming option.
Yeah, I think he was the best option for if you're a Devontae Adams owner, like that's what you wanted. Jacoby Myers owner, I think he's the best option because he is a little bit more gunslinger. He's going to throw the ball around, all that stuff. The next two things I want to talk about are wide receivers, rookie wide receivers. Shout out to my boy Birch and his LSU boys. Malik Neighbors is him. He is just like I didn't believe a lot of the draft stuff. They're like, well, he's rated a lot. He's higher than Marvin Harrison and this and that, but he's just a really good player. I'm scared to death that he's going to be quarterback purgatory for the next 8 years. I really hope not. I hope they move off Daniel Jones next year, and then Xavier Worthy, his ADP is going to blow up. It's going to go crazy. I wouldn't be surprised people take him in the 4th or 5th round. It's just going to go nuts.
Yeah, and I would be cautious with that pick too, because I think there's other players I like in those 4 or 5 rounds. But you're right. I think everybody's trying to get a piece of that Kansas City offense. And don't overlook Rice. Rice is definitely going to be a part of that offense too. So it's not all going to be Xavier Worthy. So just keep that in mind. But certainly a good player. Good player.
Oh, yeah. And then the last one is Bucky Irving from Oregon. He might take someone's job in Rachaad White, who was a top 10 fantasy back last year just based off of catches. And Matt mentioned it to me, like, it might not be taking his job, but he might split carries, and that's just going to poo-poo on White's value. So just be aware of that. Maybe start to pivot off of White because Bucky Irving looks like a dude.
Yeah, and I would add to that, Justin. Bucky is so late in drafts right now, sometimes going undrafted. And man, you can get him at a bargain, super cheap. I wouldn't mind taking a flyer on him from here and there. That offense is still going to be pretty good. So just keep that in mind. But Bucky Irvin, kind of a bold prediction. Keep in your back pocket and get him late.
Yep. Yeah, yep.
Hey, before we jump into our meat and potatoes of what we got going on here, be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that like button. Again, we're here to help you win your fantasy football leagues. We love talking football. We are football all year round here at 208. But yeah, let's get into it, man. I'm excited. It's Christmas for the next 2 weeks for me for sure.
Yes, sir.
And let's do it. All right, let me get things moved over here, and we'll have a little bit of fun and get going in our draft. We'll get that fired up. Justin, you want to explain what draft we got going on?
So what I've noticed in the fantasy community a lot is Superflex. So Superflex, just like, it's not necessarily 2 quarterback. It is, you get an extra flex. That flex is not limited to just wide receivers, running backs, tight ends. Now you added a quarterback. Okay, so that's how we're doing roster construction. So typically with Superflex, you're going to see most of this 10-team league. I don't think Superflex leagues should be more than 12 just because you start to lose out of quarterbacks. Superflex leagues, you should get 3 quarterbacks just to rotate through. There's a regular flex that's just wide receiver, running backs, tight ends. We have 2 running back spots, 3 wide receiver spots, a starting quarterback, and then that Superflex spot. You could do Superflex so many different ways. Like, you don't necessarily need to take a quarterback in the first round. You can go high positional value with taking wide receivers and running backs and just taking shots on quarterbacks. It's not a far-fetched concept. Again, I think it just depends how the draft goes. Like, again, always be water. If you can get, I think, one of those top 5 guys, Josh Allen, Patrick, Jalen, Lamar, and Kyler, in my opinion, I think you need to get them. If they're there on the board, go get them. That's my strategy all the time. Try and take the best available flex guy after that, and then see where the draft leads you.
Agreed. And I will include AR5 just because I am an AR5 guy for sure. So,
yeah, yes.
So anyway, Justin, why don't you go ahead and just get us kicked off? You have the 101 here in the flex. Let's get going, and we'll talk about these picks as we go. And
so
kick it off.
I'm going to make the easiest pick and pick the guy that I think is the best fantasy player in the NFL, quarterback-wise, and that is Josh Allen. It's super easy for me to pick that guy. He's going to score me a ton of points. He runs the ball a lot. I think he'll distribute the ball a little bit more. Joe Brady will be interesting. Their running volume was a little higher. Doesn't deter me that much. Josh Allen doesn't get hurt a lot, knock on wood. He's a stud. He's really close to Cam Newton, as Cam Newton could be with those fantasy seasons. He's Lamar Jackson with a little bit more passing upside, which I like. So,
yeah, agreed. Josh Allen's easy plug here. Coming off to a CMC, don't mind that pick here. Again, for those who don't remember last year, he was the leading scorer in fantasy football, beat the next person by 100 points. Crazy pick there.
Yep. Matt's on the board.
I am up again. This one's pretty easy for me. I'm gonna go Hurts, only because Hurts is with that offense of Kellen Moore. I think there's a lot of touchdowns going to be thrown in that round of that offense.
Correct. So I took Josh Allen, then Christian McCaffrey came off the board, then Justin Jefferson, CD, Jalen Hurts, Tyreek Hill. So you see people kind of maneuvering to, it looks like, non-quarterback positions, which is a strategy. Me and Matt are the only ones that went quarterback. Josh goes quarterback. Amon-Ra comes off the board next. So, okay.
Yep.
Then
followed by Stroud, Chase. Yep. Yeah. Go ahead, Justin. You got it.
And Brees. Trying to save your voice, man. I know your voice is dying right now. So, CJ Stroud is the biggest eyebrow-raising one a little bit. I know this is one of Matt's friends, so I like that pairing because I like Lamar a lot more. CJ Stroud just has a very, at that pick, he has to finish as a quarterback 4, which is really hard without rushing upside. So you have to just keep that in mind with CJ Stroud in this quarterback league. And then, again, Saquon, Bijan all come off the board. AJ Brown's off the board, and Matt is back on the clock with a lot of good.
You knew who I'm taking here. This one's easy. This is easy for me.
Oh, he took his boys back to back. So we do have a third round reversal, which I think is important in Superflex to make sure people get quarterbacks. So I'm going to be at the 210 here, and then it's going to go back to Team 10 at 3-1. So this just helps with dispersing talent a little bit and not being so heavy up top. So Matt had AR, then we had Jahmyr Gibbs, then we had Marvin Harrison, then Sam Laporta comes off the board, which it seems a little high. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, that's high in Superflex, but he very well could be the tight end one again this year, a guy that ended up with 10 touchdowns. And I think people missed that too, that Detroit offense. Man, when you had Laporta, Gibbs, and I believe St. Brown all having 10 touchdowns, that's an incredible amount. I mean, that offense was incredible last year. It could happen again, highly unlikely, but it's very possible.
Yeah. So I took JT. Looking at the quarterbacks, there's definitely one that I want. It seems like people are picking quite a bit of quarterbacks, but it seems like most people are going with the flex options without the quarterbacks. So I took JT, then it went Garrett Wilson, Travis Etienne, and then Kyron. So people are relying heavy. It'll be interesting to see where Josh goes. He'll probably pick my guy knowing him because he listens to our channel a lot. So we'll see what happens.
Big shout out.
Oh, he goes Puka, so he's a BYU guy. So Puka's off the board. We talked a little bit about Puka last week and our hesitations with him coming off an injury. Is he really the one, or is he the glorified 2 with Cooper Kupp coming back? Is there more investment in the run game with the 2 guards and Kyron and Blake Corum? So that'd be kind of interesting.
Absolutely. Well, I guess I'm up here, and I am. I get to it. I got it. I wanted to go with London here. I am pushing off running back a little bit in this super flex. I'm doing the best I can. Justin, while we love to give some love to our fans out there, Mrs. Mack out there loving this. Appreciate you, Mrs. Mack. Thanks for hanging out with us and throwing a comment out there. We're helping you win your fantasy football league for sure. So thanks for tuning in.
Ooh, this is hard. Okay, so oh man, I'm gonna go a little crazy here. Pick him, and then I'm gonna go here.
Yeah, I kind of figured.
So
yep.
I went Devon Achane. I have a running back with a very high floor in JT. So now I'm just gonna take my shot. I haven't had a lot of buys of Devon Achane. he scares the crap out of me, but he's gonna catch the ball so much this year, which really excites me in PPR. Everybody knows how I feel about Kyler. I think he's a top 5 quarterback. I got him in the 4th round in a super flex. Super excited for that. I have Josh Allen, Kyler.
Come
I'll
on.
probably hold off on quarterback for a while. Probably try to take an upside guy, maybe a Jaden Daniels, and then Matt's back up. After Kyler, it was Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry, and then Travis Kelce. Matt, I love your pick. Please explain.
Pacheco's going to get all the work. It's 100%. I love him here in the 4th round on that high explosive offense. He'll be able to catch and carry the ball in that offense. So his ADP has been rising, but I think it's worth it even in the 3rd round, in my opinion. You should go get him.
Yep, I love it. So after Matt's pick of Isaiah Pacheco, Nico Collins goes, and then Deebo Samuel, Jalen Waddle. Yep. So it seems like Team 6 is going super high wide receivers with a wide receiver room of Tyreek Hill, AJ Brown, Brandon Ayuk, and Nico Collins. That is a lot of very good wide receivers.
Yes, it is. I do want to kind of touch base on your A-chain. I really like this guy didn't play in this last game. I think he's been held out of practice, but I really feel like if you get A-chain, a really, really good handcuff, which we've talked about some other handcuffs and our other things, but Jalen Wright, go get Jalen Wright. If he goes down, Jalen Wright's just an absolute stud. So go get him for sure.
Yep. The biggest thing is like, even if he gets 12 to 15 touches a game, like I'm happy with that. And like, I'll be content. Like, I know he could bust out a 40-point game probably any day of the week. Hopefully he never gets me less than 8. I mean, that's the hope, being a 3rd round pick. Like, he has to be a pillar for my team. So that's a big thing. So after Deebo, we have Jalen Waddle, Mark Andrews, Cooper Kupp, Michael Pittman, Mike Evans, James Cook. Josh takes another one of my guys, and Kyle Pitts. And then Rachaad White goes in the 5th round. How do you feel about that?
Because they're listening to us.
So Matt's up here.
Yeah, I'm pausing here a little bit. I could go either one of these receivers, and I haven't got as much shares as I wanted to. But I'm gonna go with DK with that offense. I could have went Neighbors there, and so I like Team 4's pick with Neighbors. But I'm gonna go with a little bit better quarterback, in my opinion, with Metcalf.
Nice. So after Metcalf goes Malik Neighbor, who we talked about a little bit, and Devonta Smith, who is one of my favorite picks this year. Absolutely love him. Okay, so at this turn, I'm always thinking tight end. Okay, my boy Kincaid is there, and then there's a few other guys that I like a lot. So the first guy, oh man, this is tough. I'm gonna take my boy Kincaid first. I could have got the stack, but I'm gonna go Kincaid this time and see how my team works out. I need wide receivers, but none of these guys are standing out crazy to me. So I'm going to go on somebody that I've been trying to do a little bit more research on, and that his head coach has been gassing him up. I'm going to go Kenneth Walker here. I love what McDonald's has been saying about him.
Yeah.
He seems like he's in love with him. He seems like this is 3 down back. He's as talented as anything that we have, which is awesome.
Yeah, I like it too. The only way that offense is going to work is with Walker running the ball. In my opinion, they've got to get him going. Kind of bounce around here. I think I'll go. I haven't got as many shares as I'd like, but I'd like to get a little Tank Dell here. He's my 3rd wide receiver, I think, in that explosive offense. I really like my first 2, and coming off a little bit of depth with Dell. So.
Yep. So after Ken Walker goes Brock Purdy, Trey McBride, George Pickens. Matt takes Tank Dell, and then George Kittle. So a lot of the top 6 tight ends are off the board. Matt, can you walk us through why you haven't gone tight end yet?
Well, I really wanted McBride there. And of course he went off before I could get him. There's a couple of guys I like later that I think still has strong value. I'm just kind of holding on those guys as they come up. So we'll see how it goes. I think there's at least 3 good tight ends, decent, that you can get later. So I'm okay with that. Holding off.
So after Tank Dell, George Kittle, Aaron Jones, Keenan Allen, Alvin Kamara, Mixon, Zay Flowers, Amari Cooper, James Conner, Terry, McLaurin, and then Swift, and then Matt's backup.
Yeah, this will be probably my second to last wide receiver I'm going to pick up in this draft. But I'm going to go get some. I'm going to take Rice here. I'm going to take Rice and kind of go from there.
So I'm kind of in a box here where I have to take wide receiver. So let's see. So the first one, did he get picked? Okay, let's see. The first one I'm going to take is the number one on a team with a wide receiver that's out for 6 weeks, and that's Calvin Ridley. So I'm going to go ahead and take him. A little bit of boom and bust. The next one I am going to take is Christian Kirk. I think he's going to be consistent. That's what I want out of my receivers. I just want consistency, just a little bit. So two Jaguars players, one that's on a Tennessee Titans now. So a little bit of consistency here. My wide receiver room, I'm not super confident in. I just need them to be consistent.
I'm curious to see where, there's been a lot of buzz about Deontay Johnson. I'm very curious to see where he goes in this draft. I've been able to get him pretty late, and they've been gassing him up all camp. So pretty interest here, but that's not who I'm going to go with. Okay. I'm going to reach here a little bit. I'm going to get my second running back right here. And again, I think this is insane value for this guy to pick him up in the 8th round. I like him a lot. Yep. And we're going to go Zeus.
Okay. So Matt, I sent you a text message the other day about usage of running backs in the preseason in the second half. So there was a tweet out that I got to remember it. I'll look it up, and then Matt can kind of walk you guys through the picks.
So I'm going to go all the way back to Kirk went, Odunze, Burrow, Montgomery, Zeus, followed by Reed, Jordan Love, Ingram, who was one of the tight ends I wanted. So I'm going to get pushed back again here a little bit. Ramondre Stevenson, a great value at the 8-9 pick there. Not followed by Najee Harris and Addison. So. And then we're right on the 9-2 here. So pretty excited. That's a great pick by our friend Steve there. And that 8-9 with Ramondre. He is going to absolutely get all the work there. He's 100% going to get volume, and then follows up with a worthy pick. Again, a pretty good value. I have no problems taking him at the 9-2. So followed by worthy is Tua. That is their first quarterback, team 8. Again, probably in the right spot. Tua seems to make things happen there. McConkey and Goff come off the board, and I am on the clock.
Let's see what you got, Matt. I like Matt's team, super balanced. So the Zamir White stat that I want to talk about. So best fantasy finishes by non-rookie running backs to play in the second half of second preseason game since 2021. A very, very specific stat. I forgot to know who the Twitter guy is, but I'll have to look that up. So you have Devontae Freeman, who finished as RB31. You have Rex Burkhead, who finishes RB52. Deion Jackson, who finished as RB55. Deontay Foreman, who finished as RB57. And JaMychal Hasty, who finished as RB62. So Zamir White played in the second half of the second preseason game. So it's a very weird stat. Does it stick? Like, why did they play him that long? Just a weird situation. So
coming off the board after Goff is I took Ferguson. JD5 comes off for that. Pollard, Javonte Williams. Javonte still is that wild card.
I see more what I wanted him. Dang it.
Yeah, that 9th round, man, he is such a high talent. You guys have to understand, before the injury, he is a top first or second round pick, and he has just fallen off after that kind of really bad knee injury, and kind of makes me think, is he going to bring it up this year? Can he be better? Is he going to get the workload? I keep thinking he will. I'm not sure, but man, I'm excited for him. I hope he does well. I think it's good value there at the 9-9.
I think he's an absolute steal. I just can't believe he's going this late. Again, we're in a 10-team league, so teams get a little bit more stacked up. So I went with 2 Carolina players. Okay, one was thinking late that he can provide some value for me later on. Deontay Johnson again. I'm just looking for high floor guys that should get target work. So I went Deontay Johnson, Jonathan Brooks. After that, we have Austin Eckler. Then Justin Herbert. Birch gets his third quarterback. He knows how much I love Herbert. Then we have Hollywood Brown, Christian Watson, who scares the crap out of me still. I don't know who the one is. I think it's Romeo Dobbs and Wicks and Reed. I don't know. They're all really good. And then the Chris Godwin.
Yeah, I went with Christian Watson there. I haven't had very many shares of him, so I just kind of want to see how this played out. He's my final receiver that I'll probably take in this draft. And I'm just curious. He has the chance to be a number one if fully healthy, but there is a lot of mouths to feed there for sure.
Yeah, he just injury, consistent injuries from wide receivers. It's like a glass box. Like, you don't know what you're gonna get. You have all these expectations. Like, oh, he could be this, he could be that. It's like, well, he's probably gonna get hurt. So that's one thing that I've learned to play in fantasy a lot. Just stay away from injuries. It's just hard to guess. And guys that are consistently injured, man, they're tough. Oh, nice. Love it, Matt. Let's hear about this pick.
I just love Chase Brown. He's getting all the work. If you watch that kid at Illinois a couple of years ago and just watched him run, teams knew they were going to run the ball and they couldn't stop him. They just couldn't. He has a full year under his belt underneath that offense. Zach Moss is a very good running back too. What he's done in preseason, at minimum, they'll split carries, and I think he'll easily overtake that running back one there. He's great value. If you don't know much about him and you kind of go RB or wide receiver heavy and maybe go hero RB, he's easily your second running back or third running back on your team that you can get super late. So just keep that in the back of your mind. A lot of fun to draft him. There's another guy out there that I like too, that can get super late. Happens to be one of Justin's guys. And if he's still there, I'll take him here and we'll talk about him.
So, I don't know where we left off. So I'm just going to start at the back end of the 11th round. So we have Trevor Lawrence, JSN, Hopkins, Brian Robinson, David Njoku. Matt took Chase Brown, and then his backup got picked after Zach Moss. Then Raheem Shaheen, who should blow up that offense. He's been so good, just an underrated player. Then we have Bo Nix. Then we have Romeo Dobbs. I took Romeo Dobbs and Courtland Sutton back-to-back. Again, I'm looking for high floor guys. Both of those guys should be consistent. I am buying a little bit of the Kool-Aid of Bo Nix that he is going to be able to supply a wide receiver 2 or 3 consistently, and I'm going to bet on Courtland Sutton to be that, where he had, I think, 10 touchdowns last year. I think he can be that, a good outlet, a good safety valve for Bo Nix. After that, we have Curtis Samuels, then Brian Thomas, Jalen Warren, then Matt picks one of my guys. Let's hear it, Matt.
Yeah, Ford is getting all the work. All the indicators are saying that Ford is going to be the number one. And you got to remember that offensive line for Cleveland is actually really, really good. So, and he catches the ball in the backfield very well. So again, another late quarterback or running back you can get to increase your depth and with minimal value. I mean, right? You don't have to pay very much to get both of those guys, Brown and Ford, at this point. So go get them, load up, and reap the benefits.
So my favorite late round guys. So Matt has taken 2 of them, in Jerome Ford and Chase Brown. Javonte Williams, Jonathan Brooks are some of my favorite late round guys. If you go wide receiver heavy, or I went super quarterback and then running back heavy, so I'm trying to get wide receivers late now. But those are some of the guys in your drafts. They just go so late. And Jonathan Brooks is such a, if you're confident in your team, you feel like you're killing it in the draft, he is a good stash player because he's gonna start on PUB. Probably he's gonna sit out the first 4 games. They hope he comes back by week 4. But I think, I think he could be a week winner later on in the draft. So after that, after we have Matt's pick at Jerome Ford, we have Devin Singletary, Jamison Williams, Dallas Goedert, Tyler Lockett, Hawkinson, which is, I don't know if he'll end up playing. Matt, what do you think? I guess you're on the.
I don't know if he does, it'll be later in the season. It's worth a go here. I'm going to pick a guy that Justin should probably take, but I just really, really, really like this kid. And you can get him. I think a lot of times he goes undrafted, and that's Jalen Wright. Go get him, handcuff him. if you're worried about A-Chain, who had some injury risk, go get this kid. I like him better than Mostert at 33 years old, 32, 33 years old. I think Jalen Wright could be the guy for sure. He's blazing fast with a lot of upside.
Yep. So I'm going to pick a wide receiver again. I'm going to wait on it real quick, but I'm going to pick another quarterback just in case one of my guys get hurt. I'm going to go ahead and pick my boy Kirk Cousins. Big shout out to the Falcons. That's my guy. And then wide receiver-wise, I'm looking at two guys, Jerry Jeudy and Josh Palmer. I think both of them can be pseudo number ones. Josh Palmer depends on Ladd. Jerry Jeudy depends on Amari Cooper. Sounds like Amari Cooper might not be that happy, so I'm going to bet on Jerry Jeudy in the camp hype a little bit, buy into a little bit of that Kool-Aid. So, again, with Hawkinson, I want to go back to that. So you have J.J. McCarthy's out. Both their corners are out. I think they've lost at least 5 guys, it feels like, in the past 6 days. They're going to be maybe 8 weeks deep, 9 weeks deep. Do they tout him out, or do they shut him down like JJ last year? I just don't know if he's going to end up playing this year. That's just tough for a team that's not supposed to be very good. Again, it'll be interesting to see how Sam Darnold plays out.
I'm holding here, but I'm going to go with the guy. I'm going to surprise you a little bit, but I have loved what he's done in the preseason. And hear me out. Rookie quarterbacks tend to like their tight ends, and I think he's building a ton of rapport with Sanat here. Easy dump off, check downs, that type of stuff. So as a late round flyer, as my second tight end, I'll go with it. So wonderful. Justin, right, run us off on the second round here, coming off Cousins to Jeudy and go from there.
Oh, my quarterback's just like spazzed out. Okay, so we have Tajay Spears. I think that's a split backfield. I like again. Then after that was Pat Freiermuth. Again, stay away from that. Trey Benson did look a lot better this week. Still don't love him in redrafts. It'll just be interesting to see what happens there. Cole Kmet, he's a scary tight end to count on, I think, just based on the mouths to feed in that Bears offense. Gus Edwards after that, Jalen Wright. Then you have Schultz, Blake Corum, Khalil Shakir. I took Kirk Cousins, then Jerry Jeudy. Then you have Zeke, which I don't hate, which is it's not a bad pick. Xavier Legette, Zach Charbonnet, the Senator, Matt took, Aaron Rodgers, Rico Dowdle, A.D. Mitchell, Tyler Algier, and then Chuba Hubbard, who is a starting running back right now, who went as the last pick in this draft.
Good squads here, good squads. There's one guy that I didn't get an opportunity to touch on that I want to bring up, and Justin, I want you to think of that bottom third tier there, of the bottom third of this draft, of somebody you want to kind of pick on. But I am falling in love with Brian Thomas Jr. And Birch ended up picking him up. I know he's kind of a slant and go type of guy, but he is just as athletic as all get out. There's reports that people can't guard him. He's just too quick. Easy throws for the quarterback there. I mean, for Trevor Lawrence, wow. They're building around Trevor Lawrence. I think we might see a little bit of an uptick, if not a boom, for Trevor Lawrence. And Brian Thomas Jr. is going to be a part of that. So this late in the draft, could he be a top 20 wide receiver? Yeah, I think so. I really do. I think as it goes on, as these rookies develop, mid-year, he's be a guy that you may want to have on your team. So if he's late there, I seem to be picking him up more and more and more in that offense. But I like him. Go get him. He's cheap, tons of value.
Yeah, for sure. I think the biggest thing with that offense is, like, could you fathom a quarterback change there? Like the way Mac Jones has played this preseason, like this Trevor, like I know Trevor Lawrence got paid a bunch of money, but man, like he's got it. He has to show out, or like I feel like people will get a little bit of like, hey, Mac Jones played really well in the offseason. Like, do we give him a shot?
I don't think so. I think he's 100% the backup guy there. But if anything, it's going to push Trevor and say, hey, I've got to do better. I've got to be prepared better. And I think if Mac Jones is playing well, my thoughts are that Trevor Lawrence will also elevate his game this season, and he's going pretty low in drafts. So, who do you like in that bottom third, Justin? Who's your guy? You know what I just noticed? We didn't even have music on. That's what's going on. I'm like, why is it so quiet? Where are we at? Where's our music? I'm going to dial in some music, man. Go ahead, Justin.
I think the bottom third guy, like, just to think a little bit about Dallas's offense, and like I feel like I've gone back and forward with what they will be, but just all their training camp stuff, like Tyler Guyton looks like a dude. You handled the Raiders and Max Crosby really, really well. I feel like they're gonna supply a running back. Do I know for sure if it's gonna be Rico or Zeke? I have no idea. But like what? Like I feel like you have to take a shot on him, and if it's in the last round, I don't hate that shot. 26-year-old running backs that have gotten no carries don't usually perform very well. That is Rico Dotto's situation.
Yeah.
It just seems like for some odd reason, I don't know if it's a Jerry Jones thing or just a Cowboys organization thing, that they just love Zeke. Like, realistically, Zeke shouldn't have got a contract after this year. After last year, how he played. Again, he caught the ball really well, which made him fantasy relevant. But man, that offense was so good last year. I think it was the highest scoring offense in the league. Somebody's got to come out of that backfield and be relevant.
Yeah, I don't know they'll be super fantasy worthy, but I think it's worth some super late round flyers. I'll tell you what, those are the guys that are kind of watching the broadcast right now. Man, let us know what you think. There's a whole draft board here. What person do you like the best? Which value? Like this person, I can't believe they fell this way or this far. Let us know. Let's talk about it. And vice versa. Which person is way too high? What player is like, oh my gosh, way too high? Should not have been drafted. But yeah, we definitely want to hear your feedback. Make this interactive. We got some smart people in our podcast. You know, I know they're smart because they're watching. So, right. So yeah, let us know. There's some good stuff in here. When I kind of look at the top part there, I hate to say it, but Davante Adams in the third round is too high for me. I don't like it as much as I like the player. I'm probably not going to take him any earlier than fourth round if he's there. I think that, if not fifth round. I like him. I want him to do well. I just don't trust that offense whatsoever. Justin, anybody else in that first tier or for that first four, first 4 or 5 rounds, you're like, nah, I'm out.
I want you to notice something real quick with this draft board. Which Texans wide receiver went first?
Oh, you're gonna tell Diggs. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Diggs is
Listen, I'm gonna die on this hill. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Okay, Diggs is the number 3 guy in that offense. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. Okay, he is there strictly out of 1 year. Nico blew up last year. And Tank Dell, like guys, you have to understand, Tank Dell is CJ's favorite wide receiver. There is no world that Stephon Diggs in anybody's league should be going above those 2 guys. Let alone Debo, Jalen Waddle, Cooper Kupp, like Devontae Smith, DJ Moore, like Mike Evans. I'd rather have all those guys. DK, Malik, there's absolutely no way he should be going that high. You guys have to understand that. Okay? Like, that is absolutely bonkers crazy to me. The next thing is, like, I'm a very tight end guy. Like, I just feel like you have to get one of those 6 guys. Like, don't push tight end to the end, because then you're just going to be, I feel like you're always going to be trying to trade for it or wishing upon a star. Like, late round tight ends don't work. They just don't. Like, you're going to spend a premium pick, and like, that 5th round is really good. You have Mark Andrews, you have Kincaid, you have McBride, you have Pitts, you have Kittle. They're all valuable options. Like, please leave your draft with one of those 6 guys, because everything after that is really, really hard. Like, it's a big guessing game. They're not very consistent. I think all those guys will be pretty consistent all year.
Yeah, 2 things I'm going to back up a little bit just to Diggs. There's going to be some games where Diggs leads them in receiving yards, whatnot, and you're going to get some people come on here and say, I told you so. But it's going to be like DeAndre. It's going to be like a DeAndre Swift and said, hey, look, we told you not to draft him, and he comes away with 100 yards and a touchdown. The thought is way too inconsistent for me. Stay away from Diggs. Get those other 2. I agree with you, Justin. The tight ends are much deeper than what we think. Ingram is very good. Ferguson was the number 9 last year. I drafted him at the number 9 this year, so I'm okay with that and super late because I feel like I got some value up above that. Past that, I think it's anybody's game. Bowers could surprise us. He went 10th overall tight end. He could be. He might crack the top 5. I don't know. Njoku, right, is another guy who's been getting a ton of work in camp and looks good. So who knows?
Yeah.
I do want to jump over. I'm going to put Josh's comment on here because we did ask. He says J.K. Dobbins not drafted. What are we thinking? Josh, I'm going to tell you, you might not be wrong. Super late, nobody drafted a Chargers running back. Maybe JK's that guy. Who knows? Justin, what are your thoughts?
So, Matt, you'll have to remind me of the Chargers running back that you like. What's his name?
Vidal.
Yeah. That's who it is.
No, he's not. Hey. I don't even know where he is now.
No, he's with the Chargers. He had a really good preseason game.
Did he have a good preseason game? I did miss that.
Yes. So with the Chargers, JK is real similar to Javonte with me. Like, I've loved them since they came out. I love JK since he came out of Ohio State, which is saying something because I hate Ohio State. They just have so much potential, and man, they just get hurt. Like, I don't know if Javonte's that, but JK has had some serious injuries. And Achilles is such a hard injury to come back from. ACLs, it feels like, are easier to come back. Like, he uses a lot of explosiveness coming off a year. I get it, he did it the first week, but man, they're super hard to come back from. The Chargers running back group is really scary because I don't know what they're gonna do. What is Harbaugh's gonna do? Which running back is he gonna prefer? I think Greg Roman trusts Gus Bradley a lot to get 10 touchdowns, and he's just gonna lean on him a little bit. So that's my opinion. So.
Yep, agreed. It's not wrong, Josh. That's for sure. I think there's certainly a value and some risk there, especially super late. There were just other guys that I liked a little bit more. Do I like JK over Elliott? Yeah, I do. Do I like JK over Dowdle? Sure. I don't know. I kind of still like Algier a little bit better, especially if you got Bijan. And I certainly like JK Dobbins over Chuba Hubbard. So certainly, if you can get Gus Edwards and JK, I think you're probably okay. Like, I think that's a good combo to have. You just try to get them late. Yep. Another question up here. Mrs. Mack throwing a question out there. Thank you, Mrs. Mack. Brandon Cooks undrafted. What are your thoughts on Brandon Cooks in that Dallas offense?
It seems like there's been a lot more noise about Tolbert, who is their wide receiver 3. Cooks, I just didn't feel like it used a ton, especially in a super flex 10-team league. Again, he had 54 receptions, 81 targets, 657 yards, but he had 8 touchdowns, which is kind of an anomaly for him. Usually he gets 3, 6, 2, 5, 7, 8. And then his New Orleans days were a little bit higher when he was a little bit more spry. But he's been in the league for almost 11 years. And I remember he was Mr. 1,000 yards when he first got to New Orleans and kept getting traded. He doesn't really do it for me. I don't feel like he has a huge ceiling, especially as a late round guy, which is what I'm looking for. Like those rounds 10 to 14, I want some boom bust guys. Either they're gonna be a dude or I'm gonna cut him, use my waivers. So I understand him not being drafted. He's probably a guy that I won't have any shares of.
Yeah, I think it all depends on what happens with CD, but we're pretty sure CD Lamb is going to get paid. In my thoughts, I still think Ferguson might be the number 2 there from the tight end, right? Tight end spot. Could Brandon Cooks come, be a little more relevant? I mean, he had 81 targets, 54 receptions. Like you said, the big thing that was the swing for him was the 8 touchdowns because he really only had 650 yards. And it's been a slow drop in progression over the last 4 years of yards. So, yeah, like Justin said, he's 87 years old because he's been in the league so long. But it's not wrong to get him with some upside, but I probably won't have much shares of him either. But Mrs. Mack, that's a very, very good question. I would say let your league mates draft him, and there are better options for sure.
Yep.
Well, there's one more person I wanted to talk about just real quick. Actually, Xavier Worthy. I think his value going up, Justin, tell us a little bit why his value is on the rise and you believe it's going to go too high.
Okay, so a few things. So they lost Marquise Brown. I think he's going to be out till at least week 2. That's just my guess. Just my educated guess. 4 to 6 weeks. tough injury to come back from. He's pretty fragile. In 11 personnel, Worthy was on the field, which is awesome. Once Marquise Brown came off the field, Patrick hit like a just a really deep ball to Xavier Worthy. It seems like Kansas City wants to get back to that deep passing game again. For him to get, where did he get drafted at, Matt?
Xavier Worthy was the 9.2.
So round 9, I don't mind. Okay, anywhere from 7 to 10, I'm pretty okay with. Again, Marquise Brown being there on a 1-year deal. Rashee Rice, again, I think he'll get suspended next year. He will be the target hog. I think Pacheco will get a lot more targets than people realize. Xavier Worthy, I think, can be a wide receiver 3 with some wide receiver 2 upside, so a top 24 guy. Some weeks, not all the weeks, I think he can be a consistent flex option for you. I think he's a really good boom bust guy. I really don't want to see his ADP go above the 6th round, because then I don't think it's going to be worth it.
Yep, agreed. I agree. And he's definitely going to have some big games, but that offense, we talked a little bit about Travis Kelce, who went the 4-4. I think that's really good value for Kelce at the 4-4. It's probably the right spot. He's still going to be relevant. And Rashee Rice is going to be still relevant because he's sticking around. So I think it's going to be spread around a little more than you think, but certainly each one of those guys is going to have big weeks moving forward. So,
do you feel any different about George Pickens?
I'm so worried about George Pickens. Here's what I think is going to happen, because you mentioned it in the very beginning of the show, that the Steelers look messy. And I'm going to tell you who they remind me of right now. They remind me of the Chicago Bears last year. Just kind of one receiver dude, a few guys that are here or there, right? The offensive line, they're going to try to run the ball. And what's going to happen is it's going to be the field show. He's going to try to run around and make plays. He's going to have 100 yards rushing and maybe a touchdown. That's what it's going to happen to Fields, and it scares me. I'm a little bit worried about it. I love Fields for fantasy value, but he might be the only one that I want out of that entire offense. It is a late round my second quarterback. It just makes me so nervous.
Yep, I get that. I just don't know what they're going to do at quarterback. It seems like Justin Fields is the better quarterback right now, but it just feels like Mike Tomlin's going to want to go with Russell Wilson. It'll be interesting to see Arthur Smith's input, anything like that. So that'll be a little bit interesting. But we'll see.
I just don't know if the Steelers are going to have a good year. I just don't know. It's too hard. But anyway, yeah, if anybody else have any questions or comments, let us know. Hopefully you're enjoying the show. Make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, leave a comment. Man, we just love having you guys hang out with us and talk about mock drafts. And man, does anybody have any comments on their current draft of like, hey, I drafted this guy. This is my team. What do you think? As we kind of cruise on down the road. But yeah, we'd love to stay involved, stay engaged here.
Matt, do you have a favorite team? Anybody that sticks out to you that drafted well of the ones that were in here?
I don't, and I'm just kind of looking through the back end here, but I'll be honest, I don't mind the Stroud Lamar Jackson start here with ETN, Mark Andrews, Evans, Kamara, Cooper, Worthy, JSN. We haven't talked about. I think he takes a leap this year, and he gets Lockett behind it, followed by Freiermuth and Tyler Algier. I think that's a really solid team from that 9 spot. I think it's a good pick.
Yep. So I'm gonna just go over Birch's team real quick. So Birch went super heavy at wide receiver with Justin Jefferson, which I'll be honest, guys, I think he's quarterback proof. He's one of the few guys that I think is quarterback proof. He is a nasty receiver. I still think he's going to do well. I think Kevin O'Connell is still that guy. Marvin Harrison, we've talked about him a lot ad nauseum. He could be a top 5 pick next year because I think he's that good. He is the most confident dude I have ever seen. There's a few clips of him. They're like, who do you think is the best receiver in the league? He's like, I think I am. He's like, who do you think the best receiver to come out of Ohio State is? He's like, well, if you look at the accolades, I am. Like, you got to be a different dude to be an alpha wide receiver. Chris Olave, should be looked at the same light as Garrett Wilson. Chance mentioned it a little bit last week with wide receiver rankings. He has more receptions, more yards, and I think more touchdowns. Like, he's a dog. Again, he's in quarterback purgatory. Still has the same quarterback as last year. Still put up a really good year. Derrick Henry, I think, is one of Matt's guys and Chance's guys. He's done really well. I think he's going to catch the ball a lot. That's what Matt has alluded to a lot. Then to get Devonta Smith in the 5th round is absolutely bonkers. I think he could be a top 15 guy. Freaking nuts. Trey McBride should finish as a tight end 3 or above. Super easy. Then he goes and gets, I love this quarterback group. He gets Dak, Joe Burrow, and Justin Herbert. You got to love those 3. I don't know why Justin Herbert's getting picked so low. I think he's top 5 talent. We'll see what happens. Joe Burrow is a dog. Dak Prescott finished as a quarterback 2 last year. He got 3 really good options in a super flex. Tony Pollard, I don't love, but he could be the guy. He was really good in a backfield where it was 2 guys that were split. When it was him and Zeke, that's when he was at his best. The offensive line for the Titans looks substantially better with Skoronski and J.C. Latham on the left side. So that'll be a fun one. Then he gets Shaheed and Matt alluded to Brian Thomas, Blake Corum, who is a great handcuff to Kyron Williams if something happens, and then Legette is just a potential pick. So I like what he did at quarterback, especially, and to get that wide receiver room with that many alphas is awesome.
Agreed. I do want to go over Jake's Osten 2120 there, just kind of going over his team real fast. You know, he went McCaffrey, Laporta, Diggs. Don't like the Diggs pick, but the rest is not bad. I don't mind the Curtis Samuel and the Shakir. Just talking to him, he wanted to get the Bo Nix, Cortland Sutton stack, which isn't all that bad. The reason why I'm bringing up Bo Nix, I think he's going to be super crafty. I think he'll be a top 15 quarterback, if not maybe close to that top 12.
He adds rushing upside, like guys. Like he should get 300 to 400 yards. He's a good athlete. Like, don't forget about that. He'll have some good upside with that.
And I don't know if people read about this or not, but he spent some time with Drew Brees in the offseason, throwing and understanding probably that Sean Payton offense. So that is a good thing for Bo Nix. That's why he's going to be the starter. Purdy and Caleb Williams, we already know. There were a lot of people down on Caleb Williams, and I'll be honest, I was a little bit myself. With I don't know, but I was very, very hopeful. But anyway, his team's a good team. I do want to talk about, Josh brings up another question, which is actually a pretty good question. He says, is Trey Tucker a wide receiver 2 over Myers? Is he worth a late round pick in some leagues? In preseason, he's doing pretty good. So we're talking the Las Vegas Raiders here.
Correct.
It is, Josh, you're not wrong. I do like Myers. I think it's just the system right now. It's Minshew. I think the only wide receiver to have there is Devontae Adams. That's it. And the 3 dudes that they could potentially have that I see coming off the board would be Zeus, Bowers, and Devontae. That's the only 3 you potentially want from this Raiders team at all. The rest, it's there's other players we like way more. Could Trey have some boom games? Certainly, but those players are hard to predict, and you're just like kind of shooting from the hip, right? You just don't know. Maybe a best ball, maybe it helps out, but from just a redraft, your garage leagues, right? It's hard to predict that. Justin, any thoughts on behind that?
With guys that you are guessing that are the 3rd or the 2nd wide receiver, it's best to bet on really good offenses. And I don't think the Raiders are going to be a great offense. Next, I think Antonio Pierce wants to run the crap out of the ball. So, honestly, he might be the 4th or 5th option. You have Devontae, Zamir White running the ball. You have Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers, who got paid a ton of money and is a really good wide receiver that New England should not have let go of. And let's not forget Michael Myers. He should get a ton of pub. I think they will play in 12 personnel a lot with those 2 tight end sets, leaving Trey Tucker off the field. So his opportunities, I think, will be very limited because they're going to value those 2 guys that they drafted with Brock Bowers and Michael Myers in the 2nd round.
Yep, agreed. Well, Justin, we are about right at the hour here, about 5 till. I think we're going to sign off here. We appreciate you guys coming in and hanging out with us. I absolutely love the questions. I love the interaction. We love doing these mock drafts. We have our tight end rankings coming out here very, very soon. It's possibly as early as Tuesday. So don't forget to tune into that. But lots going on. We're going to have a lot more shows. We'll probably do some more mock drafts. I know we are in the middle of it. This is a busy week for me because I have more drafts coming up for friends and whatnot. Have a Superplex on Tuesday and one of our big long 20-year drafts on next Saturday. We've been doing for a long time. So God, again, this is so much fun. We just love talking football. It doesn't matter any type of football. I'm sure we'll be throwing some college in there at some point. But yeah, great time. Justin, anything to add from any, I guess, final words, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Again, just be careful with the Steelers. Like, I would just really second think any Steelers that you are trying to draft. And then the Rachaad White news, just be aware of that. Running back wise, maybe pivot off somebody different, maybe pivot to a wide receiver instead when you're looking at him down the barrel.
Agreed. I'm gonna preach up my guy here a little bit, Caleb Williams. Don't be afraid to draft him. He's gonna do good. I promise you. Go get him as that second QB, who then turns into a possible 1 QB. Hey, then you're looking really, really good. So,
yep. Thanks
for joining everybody tonight. But make sure you like, subscribe, leave a comment after the show here. We'd love to hear from you. And we got some more stuff coming up. The website is about this close. Where's my hand here? It's like this close from being done. So we'll be able to kind of kick that off soon. But we appreciate you. Have a good night, everybody, and we will see you soon. 208 out.